everybody. Thank you so much for walking back into the Dice Odyssey Studios. I'm Kaz, and today I'm going to be bringing to you just a very quick review of a game that I'm not a big fan of, sadly. Formula D, as it rode right up. This game is by Asmodee. This is 14 up. It's for 2 to 10 players, and it says for 60 minutes. They're lying about 60 minutes. Now, that could be if you drop the game down to 1 lap. I don't want to hammer on the game too badly, but I'll explain some of my reasoning why. Heck, I may forget a few things. It's been so long since I've played this, but it's been on my shelf for a while, and I really honestly thought I was going to love this game. Okay, let me get on the positives first. Awesome art, awesome components in general. Love chucking dice. I even like the mechanic of shifting gears with the dice, okay? I found a hard way. I'm not a massive racing fan. I just did, and sadly, this was one of the games that kind of convinced me of it. Let me explain why. Racing games, now granted, you can say this about any game. If any game is not done well, you're probably not going to like it, okay? But racing games tend to have, for me, kind of a hit or miss thing with most of them, right? Now, I did end up liking another race game that came out recently, Neon Knights, okay? But that combines several of my favorite things, like Mario Kart, Tron. It had things like the Ready Player One, that retro style stuff in it, and it had weaponry on the track. You could basically blow each other up and things like that. This game, I think, was lacking that extra oomph for me. Now, that's just one thing. That's my own personal nitpick on it. That I'm not a massive fan of racing games. But when I was first getting back into gaming years ago, and I saw this being played, it intrigued me. And I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get this, and I'm going to try it and see what I think. And I played this game several times, probably 8 or 9 times easily, okay? For me, the first few times were fun because you're learning it, and I had, you know, I was teaching it to a couple people, and they were catching on to it, and for whatever reason, we were having a blast with it. But the thing about it I was starting to realize is it didn't have quite enough meat to keep me interested. And that was number one, okay? So again, that's a personal nitpick. It doesn't mean it's a badly designed game, okay? I don't want to knock the game too hard for that, but I will say this. You need a good moderator for these races. If you do not have a good moderator, these races can take forever and they can be absolutely boring. Now, that doesn't mean every race, okay? Because especially when people start blowing up and deciding they want to, you know, run the risk of turning the corner and trying to get through it without blowing up. That's always funny, especially if they mess up and they blow up. But the problem is that if people start blowing up too early in the game, they're sitting out for forever while other people are playing. And if you're playing 2 laps and they died on the first lap, man, that's going to be a long game. And I'm sorry, but the 60-minute time frame, that's dependent upon player count, obviously, and how many laps. But I never saw a game go 60 minutes unless you're playing maybe 2 to 3 players, and even then, it's not that fun. This game requires, personally for me, 4, 5, maybe 6 to actually even have some semblance of a good time. And then there's been some nights that it bombed. You know, I'd bring it out, we'd have a crowd, and because the game is so long and people are taking so long to count their time out or count their spaces out on the board, people would start getting disinterested. And granted, you know, board games are there to bring us together and to have fun and to talk, right, and to interact. But when you have to pay such a close attention to what the proximity of the cars are to each other, whether or not you're going to bump and stuff, it just didn't click for me. You know what I mean? And I'm not the only one. Several people in that game group that I had that would play this didn't click for them either. And anytime I try to pull it out, you know, and say, hey, let's try this since we have so many people, they would shout me down and say, no, we're done with this game. And so I think, again, it's not so hardcore, the design, but it bombed so many times for our game group that it was just like, we're done with it, you know? And this has been sitting on my shelf now for a few years, and we just have not touched it. Literally, before I started this video, I started blowing the dust off of it, you know? So it's sitting on my shelf taking up space, and I'm thinking about going ahead and selling this thing because it's in great shape. You know, there's really Nothing wrong with it. The box is in fairly good shape. It's just the game in and of itself has bombed so many times, I just don't want to go back to it. And so, and you know, I thought it'd be cool even with the advanced levels, but really you have to be a hardcore racing fan to want to go and do that. You know what I mean? To turn it over and actually start micromanaging all your systems and things like that. And again, I'm sure some people are going to disagree with me and think this is one of the best games they've ever played. For me, it's just not. It's just not, nowhere even close. It just doesn't do enough for me to keep me coming back to the table. And sadly, yeah, this is a miss for me because it has such a great presentation. It has a great presence on the table. But yeah, it just doesn't do it for me anymore. And again, the first few games I really liked it, and then after that, it was just boring, you know, overall. There was some funny instances though. There are a couple of funny stories that happened in it when people tried to run that risk and they blew up and things like that, but after that, there's not really much else to it. Too long, too boring. And again, I know I'm going to be disagreed with. There's going to be some people that absolutely are diehard Formula D fans, and I'm not trying to, you know, destroy your opinion on it because that's your opinion, but you're wrong, okay? But that's okay. We can have a difference of opinion, right? Doesn't mean I'm not your friend, but the fact is, this game's just not for me, and if you love it, great. I'm glad you love it. So, anyway, for me, on a rating scale, I'm going to be giving this about a 5 out of 10. I know that's so mean and so awful, but guess what? It's my channel, and that's what I think of it. So anyway, I love y'all. I really do. And if you disagree with me or agree with me, that's fine. Leave your comment down below, and we'll talk. You know what I mean? Be nice, and I'll be nice to you. But anyway, yeah, this game, bye-bye. I'd be fine if it crashed off the cliff. Anyway, thanks so much again for watching Dice Odyssey videos. You have a blessed day, and game away.